Welcome to Wellspring Wednesday Chapel. I'm so glad that you can join me here today. Today we will be exploring the theme of integrity, our worship theme for the month. Integrity invites us to think about the things that are most valuable to us in our lives. What are the things that make us truly who we are, as each of us is unique in the world? And how do we stay true to ourselves? How do we stay true to our values, even when we're not quite sure where they will lead us, even when it seems that other people around us don't seem to value the same things? Integrity invites us to walk through life grounded in who we are and in how we wish to be in the world. And sometimes it can invite us to take courageous steps about how we want to be and the future we want to create. And so today we'll be exploring the theme of integrity through a wonderful story called The Emperor's Seed. But now I'd like to invite you to join me in lighting our chalice. I invite you to take the chalice that you have in your home, and as we light our chalices together, we can say the words of our chalice lighting. We light this chalice, symbol of our faith, the light of truth, and the warmth of love. And our opening song today is one that I hope is familiar to you. It is From You I Receive. I'll sing it through once to remind you, and then I invite you to join me in it 2 times. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. Thank you. And we come now to that time in our service for the sharing of joys and sorrows. And I know that in these stay-at-home days, there are so many joys, so many sorrows, that sometimes it almost feels too much. And so I invite you now to think perhaps of the joys and sorrows of today. What is it that you want to lift up, and what is it that you want to hold dear? I have our scale. And today, I would like to share a joy that it is my friend's birthday. She lives far away, but I am thinking of her and wishing her the best. She is a teacher and is figuring out all of the ways to teach online and to connect with her students. And so today, I celebrate her and celebrate all those who are finding ways to honor their birthdays and celebrate those special days in this stay-at-home time. And I have a stone of sorrow for all of those who are sick in this time, for all of those who are feeling sad because they can't be connected to their loved ones in the ways that they are used to, and to just hold all of the community of our world in our hearts in this difficult time. And I'll put 2 stones on for the ways in which joy and sorrow are woven together in gratitude for all of those who are on the front lines, caring for people in hospitals and nursing homes, making sure that there is food at our grocery stores or food in those takeout drive-thrus, all of the people who are still showing up to make sure that we can get through this time together. And so those stones are stones of gratitude. And so now I'd like to invite you to take a moment in your homes to share your joys and sorrows that you would like to lift up in our community. And will you now join me in a moment of silence as we hold these joys and sorrows woven fine that remind us of the caring community of which we are a part. Thank you. May we remember that the ways in which we can speak joys and sorrows aloud to one another help us to amplify the joy and help us to lessen the burden of our sorrows. And now I would like to share with you the story of the emperor's seed. This is a story about an emperor long ago who had no heirs. He had no one to pass on his ruling of the country to. He had no one to train to become the next emperor. And so he came up with kind of a clever plan. He wanted to find a way to find his successor, but he wanted to make sure that whoever became the next emperor was a person of integrity, was a person who would be a wise and courageous ruler even when there were hard decisions that might come before them. And so he issued out an invitation to his whole community, to the whole country. And he said, anyone who wishes to be considered to be the next emperor should come to the palace, and I will give them a task. And so children from all over the country made the long journey to the emperor's palace. And they came into the large throne room, and they waited to hear what it was that they must do to prove that they were worthy of becoming the next emperor. And much to their surprise, the emperor came out and said, I will give each of you a simple seed. And your task, if you wish to become the next emperor, is to take this seed home, to plant it in a pot, to water it every day without fail. And then in 1 year, bring that pot back here to the throne room, and I will choose my successor. Well, many of the children eagerly waited and went forward and received their seed, and they carefully carried it home, and they planted it as best they could. And one of those children was a young boy named Ling, who lived with his mother. And he took his seed home, and his mother helped him to plant it in a little bit of soil, and he began to water it each day. Without fail, when he got up in the morning before he went to school, Ling watered his seed, and he waited and waited and waited, hoping to see some sign of the green that would spring up from his pot. Several of the other children and schoolmates in his village had also taken home seeds from the emperor, and they were also waiting each morning to see what might come from their pot. And so they decided to take a day, usually on Friday, where everyone would bring their pot to school and compare notes. How is your seed doing? How much water have you been giving it? And Ling was disappointed to see that after a few weeks, several of his classmates had small sprigs of green springing up from their pot. But even though he faithfully watered his seed every day, nothing happened in his. Over time, as the students would bring their pots to school, Ling's remained empty of any growth. And the students began to make fun of him. He would bring his empty pot and they would laugh at him, whereas theirs had many leaves of green springing off of it, all different kinds, some with clover, some were growing trees, Some had leaves that cascaded down. And when Ling would come forward with his empty pot, they would laugh at him and say, what are you doing? You must not be watering your seed. The emperor is never going to choose you. This is laughable. Why are you even trying? And yet Ling stayed faithful to what the emperor had asked him to do. And every morning when he woke up, he would take some water and he would water his seed. This went on through the whole year until it became time to go back to the emperor. And Ling finally sat down with his mom and he said, "Mom, I can't go. The emperor is not going to believe that I watered my plant faithfully every day. He's going to think I was lazy. He's going to think that I didn't try. But I did, Mom. And I have nothing to show for it." His mother looked him in the eye and said, "You did what the emperor asked every day. And so it is your duty to complete the journey and to take the pot and the seed back to him." And so he and his mother made the journey back to the emperor's palace, along with his schoolmates and other classmates and children from all over the country who were bringing back beautiful, growing plants in their pots. And when they arrived into the palace room, they all lined up as they were instructed, and everyone stood with their pot. Soon the emperor appeared, and he began to walk down the line of children and to look at each pot. But he kept walking. He didn't pause by anyone until he came to Ling. And he paused and he looked at Ling's empty pot. And he said, "So what have you done in this past year?" And Ling was embarrassed, but he said nervously, "I watered my pot every day." The emperor grumbled something to himself that Ling couldn't hear, and he continued on. When the emperor had watched and looked at every pot, he went back to the throne. And he said, "I can see that there is one person who listened to me a year ago." And he said, "Ling, would you please come forward?" Ling was surprised. All the rest of the children in the throne room laughed. But Ling brought his pot forward, and the emperor said, "A year ago, I asked each of you to take a seed and to plant it and to water it every day. But what you didn't know is that I had had those seeds boiled so that in fact they would not be able to grow. And I look around and I see many of you who want to be emperor so much that you replace the seed that I gave you with a different one so that it would grow. But only one person stayed true to the task that I asked, and he is the person who deserves to be emperor. Because sometimes we have to have the courage and integrity to stay with the journey, even when it is hard. And Ling has shown that he is worthy of that. And that is the story of the emperor's seed. And how sometimes we have to stay true to ourselves and true to the journey, even when we're not sure if it's the right thing to do. Thank you for listening. Today is a song that was actually written by a friend and a mentor of mine called Voice Still and Small. I'm going to sing it through once, and then I invite you to join me in the second time. Voice still and small, deep inside all, I hear you call, singing. In storm and rain, sorrow and pain, still will remain, singing. quenching my tears through all the years, singing. Voice still and small, deep inside all, I hear you call, singing. In storm and rain, sorrow and pain, still will remain, singing, calming my fears, quenching my tears, through all the years, singing. And now, as we come to the close of our chapel, I invite you to join me in extinguishing the chalice with our chalice extinguishing words. Though we extinguish the light of the chalice here, we know that the light of truth and the warmth of love go with us in our hearts. Thank you for joining me for worship today. And may you stay true to the unique person who you are and to the things that you value most in the world. And may your seeds that were meant to blossom find ways to grow as you tend them each and every day. So may it be.